How's it going, everybody? So today I'm going to be talking about the new album from the band Elyose, and the name of this album is Déviante. And y'all know by now, before I get into that nitty gritty, let's check out the cover. So boom, there it is. Take a look at that cover. I really dig it. I think it looks really, really cool. Kind of dystopian cyber future kind of deal going on here. You have the lady, and then you have this kind of dark, almost like Gotham City looking skyscape or city line behind her, and then really kind of like out from behind her head is like it's like there's red clouds and the red lights and blue lights in the buildings, almost as if her brain is powering this city, and around her, and it's creating this kind of electronic sort of feeling and vibes, but it looks kind of dark and oppressive to an extent, especially with the colors, like the different shades of the blues with the kind of gray, and I think it just looks sick. It's a really, really cool looking cover. It almost looks like a movie cover too. I could see a movie poster with this. I'd be like, oh, this looks cool. Some kind of like neo noir cyberpunk thriller kind of thing going on here with the AI or machines, yes, computers, stuff like that. So yeah, aesthetically, I think this cover really stands out, and it looks really, really cool. And even the way that the band name there, Elyose, is stylized, it just looks tight. It just looks really, really cool. So I dig it. Now, as far as if you were to see this in the record shop and you're like, hey, this looks cool, let me pick it up. Does it properly convey the music that you're going to hear on the CD? I think it does. I think it does really, really well, to be honest, because it definitely has a metal kind of look, but it also has kind of an electronic kind of look and almost an industrial kind of look. So I really do think you wouldn't be surprised if you picked up this album expecting, something. I think the cover does a good job of conveying what you get on the album. So on both fronts, aesthetically and properly conveying what music you'll get on the inside. If you just buy the album without listening to it first, you won't be surprised. So on both fronts, A plus. I dig it. Yeah, I like it a lot. Great, great cover. As far as the album itself, this bad boy's got 10 tracks on there. Comes in at about 40 minutes, which is good. It is just right. It's a good length of time where this album packs a punch. So it's good. I think 40 minutes is really the sweet spot for this kind of sound because it doesn't overstay its welcome and it doesn't become too much because, like I said, it packs a lot of power. It's heavy. It's somewhat in your face at times. And so if it went on too long, I feel like the listener might get a bit fatigued listening through the whole album and whatnot. But at this length of time, I think it's just right, just right. And the best way I can describe the sound on this album, I guess, is like a symphonic, industrial, melodic metal, and it's a really cool fusion. And I've really been enjoying all the different types of. There's been a lot of bands out there really experimenting with the different sounds and really fusing genres and subgenres together to kind of create unique sort of sounds, and it's really, really cool. And of course it can always go wrong and just not work right, but in this instance it works very, very well, and I liked the sound a lot. And like I said, there's a heavy dose of industrial in here, some good electronic kind of programming going on back there, and some good symphonic metal in there as well. I'd say the symphonic metal is kind of the overarching sort of feeling as far as the song structure and kind of the movement and whatnot. But with some of the sounds, especially with the guitars, the tone of the guitars, and like I said, some of the electronic programming stuff like that, and the keyboard work. It's definitely some industrial in there, but it's also very melodic. So it's this really, really cool fusion. But overall, it's very heavy, very, very heavy. It packs a heavy punch, like I said. So I guess to start with, I'll talk about the guitars a bit. They sound great, really great, crunchy, heavy, some distortion, in there. And I mean, these riffs, some of them are just really heavy, really dirty, and just walloping you. But it sounds so clean at the same time. Like it sounds dirty but clean at the same time, if that makes any sense, because it's just mixed really well. The production quality is really solid, so everything sounds crisp and clean. You can hear it very distinctly, even when you have a lot of these elements going at once, like these heavy, kind of distorted guitar riffs just pounding, and then you have some of the keyboards, some of the electronic kind of stuff going in the background, a little bit of symphonics. The drums are really kicking in. There's a lot of sound happening, but you can hear it. You can hear it all very, very well. It doesn't just become a ball of just kind of static metal sound just going on. So yeah, it sounds really great. And like I said, I love the guitar work on here. This isn't like a solo heavy kind of album or anything like that. The main role the guitars play is just to just smack you in the face and just provide this heavy, heavy backdrop with this thick, thick, full, just like I said, kind of distorted and grungy, sound. And it works great. There's some really great headbanging moments. There's some cool breakdowns that happen that just make you want to jump in the pit, start throwing elbows, or, just start throwing things across the room. So the guitars are just done really, really well, and I really enjoyed that a lot. I like the keyboard side of things, phenomenal, phenomenal. There's moments where you can hear more of like the keyboard itself, but then there's other moments where you kind of have some electronic like programming going on, just with certain tunes and flavors going on, and creating kind of this just that electronic kind of industrial kind of sense, kind of like how the cover conveys, making you feel almost as if you're in some sort of artificial intelligence, or you're in this futuristic cyber, but kind of dark and oppressive environment. And so it's just really great, all the keyboard work, and it's just done really, really well. And it helps really create, I would say, the guitars, are there for just that heaviness, that punchiness, that darkness kind of, and all the electronic and keyboard elements, and the symphonics really kind of provide more of that atmosphere and that feeling of being kind of in this dark dystopian cyber neon kind of world or environment. So the two go hand in hand just really, really well. I liked it a lot, and the drums are really pack a punch. The drums are really, they really provide that excellent, kind of bass line for everything else to be layered on top of it, and it sounds great, and it's thumping and sounds really, really good. And the vocals are really, really impressive. I mean, she has such a great voice, and I only found out after I listened to the album a few times that she was actually one of the vocalists on the debut album from the band The Aaron Yes, which was released on Frontiers Records last year. Yeah, she was one of the, I believe, 3 female vocalists involved with that project. So that was kind of a cool tidbit. I love, like I said, I learned after listening to this album a few times. But she has such a great voice because, sometimes whether she's singing a very melodic, melody, or tune. Sometimes she's singing like kind of in a higher register, sometimes a little softer, and sometimes she's kind of hollering. Sometimes she's just really, having this nice punchy vocals to go along with all the heavy, harshness kind of going on. And she can handle it all very, very well. I mean, just the range of her voice and what she's able to do with it and how she delivers the vocal lines and everything was super impressive. I was very, very impressed how she was able to kind of handle all the different elements, musically that are being thrown at her as a vocalist. And she just does a really great job of that, of really carrying, the melodies and being above all of this immense, powerful sound musically happening, all around her. So I'm just very, very impressed with her vocals here. And yeah, that's kind of like the gist of the sound, what I described that throughout the whole album. But every song kind of has its own personality. Some songs lean a little more towards one way, some songs lean a little bit more towards the other. But for the most part, there's just a lot of power behind this sound. And that's why I say, the runtime of 40 minutes is just right, because it can be a lot to take in at times. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is not it's not your grandmama's symphonic metal here. Heavy industrial elements, just heavy beats. Some songs have wicked breakdowns, not for the faint of heart. But really, really cool. Executed very well, and like I said, the songwriting and the arrangements is all done very well. So everything can really sound clean, and like I said, not become just like a jumbled mess. It's like organized chaos almost, and it's just really cool when folks can pull that off. Um, I mean, it just starts right off the rip, letting you know what's going down and what you're in for on the album. One of the first songs that really, really caught my attention, though, was track 3, Vendredi, Noir. Really, really cool song. It has a great rhythm, and this is one of the songs too that really showcase her voice very well. Just the range that she goes through, and the way that she delivers the lines and how it changes kind of throughout. It's just really, really impressive, but really cool rhythmic melody to the song, vocally and musically. There's a cool breakdown in here that kind of mixes like heavy guitar breakdown with sort of that industrial kind of electronic breakdown mixed in there as well, and just really, really cool. And this song just is what kind of really, really, truly first caught my attention, because again, nice melodic chorus, but with the verses are just really cool the way she does it, almost like I mean, it's not like rap and it's not like spoken word or anything, but it's delivered in a relatively rapid fire the way she does it in the verses, and it's really cool. And then you have a really nice melodic chorus and it's a cool breakdown. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. Then you get down to track 6, Humane. And this one's really cool because it kind of starts out with, it almost sounds like a crowd, chanting, almost like a coliseum kind of thing, or like how you would picture kind of, I guess, like a futuristic dystopian like fight club, where an arena where these guys are fighting it, and you got people holding onto the fence, on the outside, screaming and shouting. You can kind of visualize it if you've seen any of those kind of like 80s movies, in the dystopian future, or even like current movies or whatnot. So, and this song has a really cool, nice momentum, nice, great riffs going on, and yeah, just that atmosphere it creates is really, really neat. And I believe in this song you even have kind of like a robotic voice kind of saying certain things in certain spots, and just really neat. And then you got Déviante, which This one is cool because it has a bit of a gothic flair to it, a kind of a dark gothic flair to it. In this one, you can really kind of hear the keyboard a little bit more as opposed to more of just like the electronic, sounds. You can hear the keyboard. It sounds really nice. Really, really nice melody in here. And like I said, this one it just has that flair of the gothic sort of, and it just a really cool song. Really enjoyed that one. And then you get the track 8 is a doozy. Les Assemble, Assemble. I'm sorry. I wish I could pronounce. I even tried listening really hard in the songs so that I could say these words. Les Assemble, Les Assemble, but so that I could pronounce them right. I tried to listen and hear how they were saying them in the songs. But yeah, this song features this fella who does some guest vocals on this song, and man, this song is really interesting because you really get both into the spectrum. It's got a softer, kind of more melodic side, but then it gets like heavier, and then it gets to this one spot, like kind of I guess to the breakdown where the dude, the guest vocal guy, just goes berserk. Like he just gets unleashed, and he is going in this just heavy breakdown. It's wild. It is wild. It's probably the heaviest moment in the whole album, and you, yeah, I was thinking while I was listening to this song, because I always associate now, like, just like the word assemble with the Avengers, and, Avengers assemble. And, the name of the song is Les Assemble, and Les Assemble, perhaps is how it's said. But, so I was thinking, this song or that moment would be more of a call like to the pit than for the Avengers to go fight Thanos or whatnot. But I guess that would work too, just going absolutely nuts. I think Thanos would be kind of frightened if Captain America said Avengers Assemble, and then the breakdown, the bridge part of this song just started playing. I think he'd be quite shocked. But it's more of a call, I think, to the pit more than anything, the pit ventures, if you will. So yeah, I guess like I'm sorry, folks, but I guess instead of Captain America, like at the pit or at the concert, there'd be a dude named uh, Captain Amarekia, and he'd be like, Pit Ventures, L'Ensemble. And then the tune would go, and then everyone just go and just absolutely go nuts. That would just, if I was at one of their concerts and you had like the dude on the mic, the songs pause, and just before that moment when the guest vocal guy goes berserk and it gets heavy as all get out with the breakdown, if he said Pit Vengers L'Ensemble, and then everybody just ran in and just started going at it, I think that would be so cool. But I think that moment would be too amped where people would get hurt. It's just it would happen. It's it'd be impossible not to. But yeah, so that song's wild. And then track 9, De la Lune à la Terre. A great way to kind of round out the album and end on a note that is nice and melodic without being too terribly heavy, but still powerful. And it just rounds out the album really well. And then track 10 is really just it's a radio mix, a radio edit of track 5, Retour, réel. And again, I'm so sorry, folks, for mispronouncing like all of these tracks titles, but I do my best here. So yeah, it's just kind of like a shorter version, for the radio, um, which is neat. So I consider that more of like just a bonus track. But so I really think it kind of ends on track 9, De la Lune à la Terre, and a great way to end the album. So yeah, I mean, it's just a really cool, very dynamic, very powerful, very charged sounding album that fuses kind of a symphonic metal style with a lot of industrial and electronic elements. Um, but staying still really melodic, but having super heavy breakdowns, and it's just really cool, really really well done. I've actually had never heard of this band before. This is the first time I've listened to this band, but it seems like they got a few albums they've released over the years prior to this one, so I may have to check those out because I was impressed. I dig it. I dig it. Yeah, if you ask me, well, what's one song to to listen to determine if I want to hear the whole album or not? Like, if you just want to listen to one song to see if it's gonna be your cup of tea, I would honestly say go with track three, Vendredi Noir, and I think they recently released a music video for that song too, actually. So I think that'd be a good place to start. That or perhaps Humaine, but yeah, Vendredi Noir I think really captures the spirit and the sound of the whole album kind of in one song, so you can get a feel for it and see if it's something that you want to listen to. But really cool band here, really cool. I really dig it. The vocals really kind of blew me away. Great voice, and just the songwriting and the arrangements, and how it was all put together. Really cool. So yeah, I'm very very impressed. This was a nice surprise here. So yeah, that's Elyose with Déviante. And yeah, let me know, folks, in the comments down below if you were already familiar with this band. Have you been listening to this band for years already? Have you listened to this album yet? If so, what do you think of this album here? I'd love to talk about it in the comments down below. But as always, thank y'all so much for tuning in, and I'll catch y'all next time. Ranger out.